Gee, the Bay Park days. How you doing? I remember you. I remember you.
Okay, at this point in time, Mr. Clerk, Mr. Mullen, we have several emergencies. I just reconvened the meeting to call for these several emergencies. Could you please make a motion to establish the emergencies?
Can we just establish the emergency all at once and then we'll look at each individual item?
Sounds good.
Great. Presiding officer, we have several emergencies that come by way from the county executive. Emergency resolution for 533-15, an emergency resolution declaring emergency for immediate action upon a resolution authorizing termination payments from the employee benefit accrued liability reserve fund. As for clerk item number 534-15, he's requesting an emergency resolution declaring emergency for immediate action upon a resolution to authorize the transfer of appropriations hereto made within the budget year for the year 2015. He's asking for an emergency resolution regarding clerk item number 535-15, an emergency resolution declaring emergency for immediate action upon a resolution to authorize the transfer of appropriations hereto made within the budget year of 2015. He's requesting an emergency resolution for clerk item 537-15, an emergency resolution declaring an emergency for immediate action upon the ordinance supplemental to the annual appropriation ordinance in connection with the Department of Public Works. The county executive is requesting an emergency resolution pertaining to clerk item number 538-15, an emergency resolution declaring an emergency for immediate action upon an amendment to bond ordinance to finance the payment of certain payments to NCCFT member employees at Nassau Community College upon separation of employment. He's requesting an emergency resolution to 539-15, the clerk item, which is an emergency resolution declaring an emergency for immediate action upon a bond ordinance authorizing borrowing to refund outstanding county bonds. The county executive is also requesting emergency resolution to clerk item number 540-15, an emergency resolution declaring an emergency for immediate action upon a resolution to correct an authorization of a transfer of appropriations. The county executive is also asking for an emergency resolution on 541-15, which is an emergency resolution for an ordinance fixing the tax rates and levy taxes for 2006 fiscal year begin January 1st, 2016 and ending December 31st, 2016 upon taxable properties in the towns and cities of County Nassau for county fire prevention, safety, communication, education fund, county police headquarters, county police district, Nassau Community College, county environmental bond fund, Nassau County sewer and stormwater resource district, and for the aforementioned 2016 fiscal year for town highway, town general fund, Park Town special district, unpaid water charges and arrears, town sidewalk and curb assessments and other lawful purposes, and allocating revenues from certain sales taxes imposed within the county of Nassau outside the city of Long Beach, and determining the equalization rates in relation thereto, and authorizing and directing the county executive and the clerk of the Nassau County Legislature to execute separate tax warrants addressed to the receivers of taxes of the towns and cities within the county of Nassau for the collection of the several sums mentioned herein, pursuant to the provisions of the County Government Law of Nassau County and the Nassau County Administrative Code, the Real Property Tax Law, the County Law, the Local Finance Law, the Tax Law, the Town Law, and the Educational Law of the State of New York. Just wait 1 second, please. I just want to make sure I get all the emergencies.
Mr. Mullins, let me just make sure I understand. You called 533, 534, 535, 537, 538, 39, 540, and 541.
Yes, sir.
I just want to let you, the position of the minorities that we're not supporting all the emergencies. But if you feel you need to call them, I just wish you would call them separately, because if you call them by bulk, then because the ones we're against, we're going to have to go over the entire thing. Well, he's already announced it, then...
I'm sorry, is there a few that... My suggestion then is if, and I apologize, is the 1 and 2 that you're not, that you don't believe your caucus will support, maybe I'll just say that we'll just read the numbers, because we all have the emergency items on the list, which should be distributed to all the legislators, and then the ones that you're not going to vote for, I'll just rescind that.
Okay, well, 539, I believe both of our sides are talking about language, so 539, if you could pull that one out.
Okay, sir.
And then obviously the other one would be, there's no number on our sheet. What's the number on the tax survey?
That was not
541? Is that the one?
Is that 541? We don't have a number on our sheet. Is that this?
Yep.
Oh, 540.
Yeah, so 541 is fine for them.
Okay, so we need 539 to be pulled out,
Sure.
and we need 541.
Okay, so just so the record's clear, pulling back based on what I just gave is the clerk got a number 53915 and 54115. And we would only be requesting emergency from the county executive and voting on 533, 534, 535, 537, 538, and 547.
Motion, sir.
A motion to establish the emergency. Legislator Dunn, second by legislator.
Yes.
I'm gonna let them do it. Okay. All those in favor of establishing the emergency.
Who was the second?
And legislator Becker seconded. All those in favor of establishing the emergency signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. The emergencies are now established, and we will call them one by one. How's that? That sound good? All right.
Wait, emergency established for 533 through 538?
Yes, sir.
Well, 540
And 5 what?
and 540.
That's 540, yes.
And 540, yes. You can call them all together.
Okay, all right, so we don't have to go one by one then, okay?
No,
Okay.
not with you.
All right.
541 and 542.
Okay, I think, just so I can catch my breath, everybody will make this part of the record has the emergency item sheet. So now we're calling involved 533-15, which is emergency resolution 36, resolution 267-815, 534-15, emergency resolution 57, resolution 267-15, 535-15, which is emergency resolution 38, resolution 267-C15, clerk item 537, emergency resolution 39, ordinance 186-A15, 538-2015, emergency resolution 40, ordinance 186-B15, and 540, which would now be emergency resolution 41, 267-D15. Because we would be doing the vote first, so that can't be emergency resolution. So again, those would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 emergencies that we'd be voting on, with 2 outstanding that were submitted by the county executive.
Yes. That's correct.
And for the record, we're going to take each one separately and vote on them separately. I think
Oh, sorry.
it'll be a lot easier that way.
I'm sorry.
And so, with the first item is 533. Motion, please. Moved by legislator Walker, second by legislator Ford. Okay, all those in favor of 533? Signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the item passes unanimously. The next item is 534. Motion, please. Moved by legislator Kennedy, seconded by legislator Rhodes. All right, all those in favor of 534, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, and that item passes unanimously. The next one is 535. Motion, please, moved by legislator McKenzie, seconded by legislator Schaefer. All those in favor of 535 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The item passes unanimously. The next item is 537. Motion, please, moved by legislator Rhodes, seconded by legislator Kennedy. All those in favor of 537 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the item passes unanimously. The next item is 538. Motion, please, moved by legislator Dunn, seconded by legislator Capel. All those in favor of 538 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the item passes unanimously. Moving down to 540. A motion, please, moved by legislator Becker, seconded by legislator Walker. All those in favor of 540 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 items passed unanimously. Now, are we ready for 530?
guys want to call it tax levy now?
Yeah, you call
Yeah, that's
it.
okay.
And then, okay, and then we'll do the last, I don't know where we're at with the last one.
I don't even do it.
5:39.
I'm calling upstairs to find out where.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I'm saying, let me know, guys.
All right, so let's go with 5:40.
Mr. Muller, we can call for emergency on item 541.
Okay, well, I already read it to the record, so I don't need to read that big paragraph again,
No,
so.
you don't have to read it.
Is there a motion to make an emergency for the county executive's request for 541-15?
Moved by legislator Cox, seconded by legislator Navarro. All right, all those in favor of establishing the emergency for item 541, signify by saying aye. Any opposed?
Nay.
Do I have 13?
So we have,
Who's again?
Yeah.
Right, 16 to 3.
Devon, Delia, and Karen.
Again.
Okay, so the item passes, the emergency passes 16 to 3. Okay, just the emergency. All right? And now we're ready for the item 541. Okay, now who wants to ask any questions regarding 541? Anyone? No, I need a motion. I need a motion, sorry. Legislator Schaefer, seconded by legislator Becker. Okay, all right, now.
Who's going to speak on this item?
There, I have it. Lisa, don't run, Lisa, take your time. Because this could drive all of us crazy.
I'm sorry, legislator, that's the tax levy ordinance?
Yes.
Okay. There's a question on,
I don't know.
Yes, legislator DeRucci, but
Hi, Lisa. I would feel more comfortable if once again, we put on the record how this will affect the school districts.
I'll reiterate the testimony that was given by Deputy Assessor Michelle Sparrow in the prior discussions of the assessed value ordinance and the adjusted base proportion ordinance. With regard to the school districts will not be, I believe, negatively impacted because the levy that will go out will, the county will capture the monies that they have budgeted for. How the monies are captured, it'll be divided between taxable property and pilot payments. But the entire amount of money that the school district budgeted that they needed for their levy will be collected and it will be billed and the collection of those bills will be turned over to the schools. And my colleague said I should also put on the record that the levy ordinance that we're talking about here deals only with the county, towns, and special districts. It is not dealing with the school districts. But I understand your question, it was specific to the
Right.
school districts.
Well, we discussed that it references the school district, correct?
Correct, but we're amending that prior ordinance, and the levy for the school districts was already voted on and passed. Nothing is changing from that levy ordinance which was passed for the school districts. The levy ordinance that's before you is just adding, or I should say, that was dealing with the assessed values. This levy ordinance before you is only so that the levies can be executed and warrants executed for counties, towns, and special districts.
Okay.
Would it be possible to have Michelle come up I understand that these calculations have been processed starting Friday and completed, I guess, over the weekend. But just for the record, it would just be beneficial to have, one more time, maybe just state how these changes were
We
conducted.
took the 614 parcels, we determined what they would have paid on the tax rolls, we then exempted them on the tax rolls, we then said that's the amount that the pilots are going to be, we then reduced the levies by the amount of those pilots, so every district would remain whole.
What was the total amount again from the 614?
That they're going to be
What-
billed for county and
right.
town first, 60 million,
60 million?
correct, 37 for the county, 23 for the towns.
36. It changed to 36.
Well, the problem, and this started Friday, right? And you
Correct.
you did the work Friday, or you did it?
Friday, Saturday, Sunday,
Do you feel that you had enough time?
yes.
You don't have any other information that you would have in a perfect world if there wasn't a time pressure?
No. We finished at 3 o'clock Sunday, so we must have had extra time. We would have continued through the night, but we were done by 3 o'clock.
Mine's done also, if I may. Myself, Legislator DeRiggi Whitten, and Legislator Salages, we're actually going to vote to abstain. We actually believe that, and that's why we voted against the emergency. We understand the importance, and obviously with the towns being able to start to collect the revenue, as does the county, starting on January 1. However, there's been several levels of conversations, obviously as they tie to on how we treat LIPA and the utility poles and the properties that they have. And with the information, as we see it changing quite frequently, we did want to take some pause and see if more information or have conversations with our school district to see what their input is in regards to this entire situation. Being that this was handed to us late last week, we haven't really had the opportunity to take those discussions. Therefore, we don't have the information we need, or we don't think the information is provided to us that we're able to make a concrete decision. So from that standpoint, we're going to vote to abstain.
Any other comments? Any public comment? There being none? All those in favor of 541, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? And 3 abstentions. Okay, so it is, what is it, 16 to 3? It's 16-0 to 3. Okay, thank you very much. I have to put this in recess again, but that means I can go on with, thank you very much. I can go on with public comments. And Mr. Alexander. There are other people here for public comment. Okay, Mr. Alexander.
Thank you. My name is Eric Alexander, Director of Vision Long Island. Wanted to make a couple comments on the Complete Street study in Baldwin. We're glad that the county has embarked on that. We're glad that they passed the law for complete streets. We were part of the federal study that picked Baldwin to the TOD study to pick Baldwin for the study. We're on the review committee for kind of oversee the project a little bit, so to provide some input. So the preliminary results are a road diet, which some people are anxious about. Why are we narrowing roadways or removing lanes? It's always a challenge when it's happened in other areas of Long Island. But there's 2 reasons. One, road diet, they make the roads safer. There is a pedestrian safety issue within Nassau County and Long Island throughout. So again, reducing the speeding and dangerous lane change maneuvers. The left lanes on this 4-lane roadway become left turn lanes. And that reduces their capacity. It causes drivers to change lanes and pass them. So the center turn lanes remove the issue and allow the lane to be more efficient. So that's the safety issues there. The redevelopment issue, pedestrians and cyclists spend 50% more dollars in their downtown areas than folks driving through local communities clearly. So in similar project, the 77 new businesses were created with 560 jobs over a 7-year period. So we can show examples where road diets have occurred and the economy of the local community has redeveloped. Case examples on Long Island, New York State DOT did a road diet in downtown Smithtown with 24,000 cars a day, which is more than what Grand Avenue has. Great Neck Plaza did a road diet in their downtown area. They narrowed they removed lanes. And again, it was a challenge from a public perspective out of the gate, but clearly it was something that benefited the community. Downtowns that have a road diet to begin with, they have a physical downtown with 1 lane in each direction. Huntington, Westbury, Farmingdale, Rockford Center, Valley Stream, they all have dynamic downtowns, and they move the cars, but they also have really associated land use and small businesses and housing that works. So moving forward, some suggestions on how the county could, and we've got to acknowledge Laura Kern for leading this project, but certainly you all care about projects in different communities. The presentation of these ideas, the consulting engineers can improve how they've presented this information. Number one, they can educate the public on the benefits of revitalization in the area, as well as safety. They need to prove that the numbers work, so they need to tie it out, do synchro model, Rodell, whatever they have to do. They need to show that future demographic trends show a reduction of vehicle miles traveled on Grand Avenue, not an increase. And we can, East Side Access is coming, millennial trends for less driving, flex time, local office space, smaller commutes, all those things are coming, and you're going to see a reduction, or at least a stabilization of traffic. And then visit places that balance the needs of auto travel and local commerce. And again, we'd be willing to help in those tours in different areas around Long Island where this has worked. And then coordinate the recommendations of this study with a future study you're doing on downtown revitalization for Baldwin, a resiliency study with the state, and also where the town of Hempstead's doing moving forward with their recommendations and changes for Baldwin and Grand Avenue. So there's a lot you can do. There's a lot. I know the legislature, in conversation with the legislature, she's doing a lot on this. We just wanted to read some things into the record because we heard some, always the communities are wondering what's going on with, why are we narrowing roads or removing lanes, and there's confusion. And I think it's important that the engineers step out with the proper information, put an excellent presentation forward. But I'm glad to see this project moving in the right direction. Any way we can help, just give us a yell.
Legislative comment.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that you coming here and sharing that and sharing the context in other communities that have had a similar thing and have had success. And I just want to correct something for the record. We had Mr. Kugelmas from Baldwin earlier talking about the Grand Avenue design. It's not a design yet, it's still a study. So I didn't want anyone to think that it's a designed thing. It's still in the study process.
It's just a PowerPoint presentation, right? It's not a full.
It's a study and recommendations based on the study.
Yep.
Yep.
No, we're glad to see you do that, and it's right. The period's not at the end of the sentence, so
Right.
there's things you can do. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Legislative James. Don't go away.
Yes.
Wait just 1 second.
Sure.
Don't leave without walking over here for a minute, and I'll come over to you. I want to be able to reach out to you about something.
Okay.
I have something very similar going on, and I think the way you just explained it is very calm. I know it's a road calming measure. I know we did it in Syosset, and it does work.
It does.
But the initial hearing of it is a little frightening to people, and rightly so, because you feel like if it's not working in 4 lanes, how's it going to work in 2?
Right.
But it does.
Right.
Okay, so I just want to talk to you about it, okay?
Love to.
Okay,
You're right here.
all right.
Thank you.
Pat Boyle.
Hello, everybody.
Hi,
I just wanted to come here with 2 very quick things. I'm sorry, my name is Pat Boyle. I'm here representing the Coalition of Youth Service Agencies on the first thing that I'd like to speak about. And that has to do with coming here to say thank you. I know that it's been difficult for both sides of the aisle to have to be able to, fight back and forth about how to be able to find funding for youth services. You've been doing it, and I really do appreciate it. I think what you've done is yeoman's work in the sense that you have made it a priority of yours and that you've gone and done that. And I didn't want to leave here today, this year, without being able to say that I really do appreciate it, and I know the other people within the Coalition of Youth Service Agencies appreciate it as well too. You've done a great job in doing it. Of course, there's still more work to be done. We know what's happened with the quarters, with NYFA and everything else that's going on. But hey, listen, I feel that having your support up until now is going to make the difference later on to be able to make it so that we won't have to close our programs or curtail our programs or cut them back. The second thing that I'd like to say has something to do just from me. And it's kind of funny that Legislator Becker left, but I just wanted to say thank you to him because of all of the work that he's put into here. And now that he's retiring, I'd like to just acknowledge the fact that he is, and also tell him, wish him the best, and hope that everything works out well for him in the days to come.
There he is.
Well, I think he heard what I had to say. I know the speaker's back there. But anyway,
It's very rare that anybody comes to say something nice about it. How about you come out here and hear it? Like myself.
well, the last time I came here to say something nice about, just saying thank you, you called me a leper, so. 1 in 10 showed up to say thank you. It's a biblical thing, it's okay, I understand that. But anyway, I just wanted to say that to Legislator Becker, and thank you for all the support that you've given to our agency as well, too, over the years. And I hope that you have a good time, and I hope I see you at a hockey game sometime soon. All right, thank you very much for everything.
Just thank you for your kind words, and also thank you for all that you do so passionately for the kids in this county. I visited your programs on numerous occasions, even tried to help fundraise for you a little bit. And what you do is truly God's work, and I thank you and the rest of your colleagues who run these programs, all that you do. As I said, you do God's work, and it's a great thing, and we appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, but this is about you, not about
All right, okay.
I have several slips here. How many are still here? Okay. I want to call the names and you'll tell me. Vanessa Giovanni. Okay. I don't want to leave anybody out. Is it Paterno? Terry? Am I right? I can't.
The number changed.
Vittori?
The number changed. It's the no
I don't know.
The estimated is reflected.
Okay.
You have the attachment.
Then if it's reflected in the plan, why don't we put what's reflected in the plan? I don't want to see
What's the point of what's the point of
Dominic?
I would like to see.
Savage? Come on.
I want to see the number in there.
So the number is 4 million, what happens?
Hello, thank you. My name is Dominic Savage, and I'm here to speak about it's non-discrimination law for transgender residents of Nassau County, namely the changing of the legal definition of sex from biological sex to gender identity and expression. Because of transportation, I haven't been able to attend these meetings often as I play, and it's disheartening to see that about a year since my last visit, we're still catching up these our work. That this collision of unconstitutional force with an immovable object is happening in a state so notably progressive in so many other ways is incomprehensible to me. Nothing has changed. Nothing has changed except for the rising body count in our community, particularly that of our women, and the endless accounts of discrimination from people close to me who rightfully feel completely powerless, being bereft of any legal recourse. This has to stop. We cannot simply accept Cuomo's recent executive action as a job well done and then wash our hands of the issue without cleaning up the mess in our own backyard first. To wait until a tragedy shocking enough in Nassau County to make a very simple change to the laws here is a gross injustice to the hypothetical victim of that same tragedy. We are human beings, and we should not be forced to use our sisters' dead bodies as bargaining chips in exchange for legal rights and protections that we are already entitled to as citizens of the United States. We are tax-paying citizens, and the revenue that we generate and that we invest into our communities is just as good as anybody else's. I won't appeal to the holiday spirit because, unfortunately, there is no spirit of the law. There is only the letter of the law. And there is no other demographic so intensely targeted as transgender women, with a murder statistic of 1 in 12, and this needs hate crime status. Anything not specifically prohibited by law is legal, and continued silence on the matter is continued consent. Thank you very much for your time. Have a good night.
Bob Truba. I really appreciate that you stayed around. Okay, Mr. Truba.
My prepared comments start with good afternoon, but I'm going to say good evening. My name is Bob Troiber. I'm the Executive Director of New York State Land Title Association. Statewide, we represent more than 10,000 people employed in the title insurance industry. 55 of those companies are based in Nassau County, and hundreds of their employees are Nassau County residents. And in 2014, the title industry collected $24 million for Nassau County in fees, county taxes, searches, and certifications. We are not your customers, we are your business partner. We're not compensated for these services. It's required of us, and we perform that service for our clients. I'm here to ask the legislature for a technical amendment to Local Laws 8 and 9 of 2015. These local laws increase the fee for tax map verification and for recording certain documents in the land record system. We're asking the legislature to amend these laws to make them effective January 4th, 2016, and to authorize the refund or crediting of the fee increases for documents recorded between December 7 and December 31st, 2015. We make this request because of problems created by attempts to implement these new fees immediately. As the law that you passed stated, this shall take effect immediately. The business community was informed on December 2nd that these laws would take effect immediately, giving title companies and attorneys 48 hours to notify home buyers, lenders, and realtors of the change. The fee increases, as was mentioned earlier this afternoon by another speaker, add hundreds of dollars to the cost of a typical transaction. The impact on home buyers has been devastating in some cases. Transactions have been delayed, postponed, canceled, or otherwise impacted as homeowners struggle to produce another $600 or $900 on short notice. This disproportionately affects lower income and elderly. Even those transactions that are not affected by fee increases are impacted by the immediate effective date. If you closed on a house or got your disclosures in late November or early December, you were paid or you were informed to pay one set of fees. When the agent goes to record the deed and the mortgage, a higher fee is demanded because of the law's immediate effective date. So far, this has cost the business community thousands of dollars in order to fulfill their obligation to report real estate transactions and to remain in compliance with federal and state regulatory disclosures. The federal and state rules require written disclosure of all fees that are to be charged and collected by a title company. In certain cases, changes to the disclosure may trigger a 3-day review period before the closing can take place. These conditions are too complex for me to explain in the few minutes I have here. The impact is that the title companies have had to absorb the fee increases out of pocket with very little likelihood or hope of repayment. I'd like to say the association appreciates the efforts of County Clerk O'Connell and a member of this legislature, Mr. Coppell, for their support of the business community and their concern and advocacy of the interests of consumers. We're asking you to undo the harm to consumers and to businesses caused by the immediate effective date.
Your 3 minutes have expired.
Allow home buyers, their attorneys, and title companies enough time to incorporate your fee increases into our business processes. Make the fee increases effective January 4th, 2016. Refund or credit the fees collected as of December 7th, 2015. Thank you for the opportunity to comment. Good evening.
Legislator Jacobs.
Yes, excuse me.
Mr. Troba.
Mr. Troba. Mr. Troba, it's Judy. Hi.
Hello.
I wanted to tell you something. I received a call from someone who is also in the title business, lives in Jericho. I couldn't find his name quickly enough to mention it to you, but you would know the name. And he informed me of this within a day of it taking it, or just the day, maybe Friday before the Monday that it would take effect. And I have to tell you that both sides of the aisle put in requests of the county attorney's office that it shouldn't become effective until 2016, because it's for the 2016 budget that this was adopted for. So we've been trying, but it hasn't happened. We wanted to amend it. We've been trying to amend it. This is nothing new in the behind the scenes yet. I don't mean behind the scenes in a bad way, but there's those of us on both sides of the aisle that have been asking for this to be amended to change what the start date was of this being effective.
May I respond?
Yes.
Because on that Friday and over that weekend, we were in contact with folks from the county attorney's office.
Right.
Their interpretation is local laws 8 and local laws 9 both say this law shall take effect immediately.
I know that.
And they had no recourse but to carry out the instructions of that law that you folks wrote and approved.
But
So I can't blame the county attorney or the county clerk.
I'm not pointing to, but you want to change. You're here saying it should have been changed. And I'm agreeing with you. And we do amend things, and that's why I was really seriously hopeful that this would be amended, but it wasn't. And I have to agree with you, it was a 2016 budget enactment that was being put effective as of the first Monday of December. It made no sense to me. We're trying, we still haven't stopped trying, because I know that your companies like yours, who had already closed, but hadn't yet filed their paperwork, were the ones that were caught in this, where they had to lay out the money.
Exactly.
And in this particular case that spoke to me, it was upwards of $13,000.
Well, may I say that I've already got been copied on 4 emails issued by Brian Nevins, the county executive in Gana's office, who informed people that this was the act of the county legislature.
Oh, come on, that's
I can show, I'll give you my phone if there's a
I'm not
question.
doubting you, I'm not surprised.
So, Judy, I think you'll be interested in hearing this. I have just been informed that the administration is putting together an emergency resolution to make the effective date January 4th. After that, all bets are off. But anything, well, we're waiting now, we're going to be here a little longer.
We understand the county's need for revenue. All we're saying is make it possible for us to do it. That's all.
Okay, so we're going to send down an emergency.
Great news, thank you.
The effective date is January 4th.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
What?
So that is great. We were trying for that.
Well, I believe, Mr. Troyer, I believe you understood from the get-go that both sides of the aisle were trying to change that effective date. And obviously, someone was listening, and I think maybe they heard you as well. So
Thank you very much.
I'm waiting for that emergency resolution to come back.
Great news, thank you.
Which means we'll be here a little longer. Okay. And then the police have, we're gonna, yes, I did. I think we had another point today, too. Okay. Timothy Miles?
You have to leave.
You have to leave? Well, I can't very well find him. Elaine O'Brien? Then I will get back. Theodore Warner?
Good afternoon. My name is Ted Warner. I'm the Senior Vice President of Fidelity National Title Group. I'm a resident of Nassau County. I was invited here today by Legislator Curran, and I thank her for the opportunity. I had a long involved speech about the fact that a good number of my 260 customers who are small business people in Long Island conducting business in Nassau County, employing Nassau County residents, etc., were tremendously burdened financially because buyers who closed their deals before the implementation date had documents backed up in the process between the tax assessor and Maureen McConnell's office. Based upon what you've just said, Ms. Gonzalez, perhaps the problem will be ameliorated, and I encourage you all to support the delay in implementation to January 4th, and I thank you for your consideration of this important issue. Have a good evening and a nice holiday.
Thank you. I have a Randy Kaplan. I know Randy has been here a while.
Yes, thank you. Also, good evening to all of you as well. I'm Randy Kaplan. I'm the Director of Government Affairs for the Long Island Board of Realtors. The Long Island Board of Realtors opposes increased recording fees in Nassau County. Enough is enough with increased recording fees in the county. The recent increase in real estate recording fees are indicative that Nassau County officials are not as concerned with attracting and retaining residents as they would lead you to believe. These increased recording fees could potentially add hundreds or thousands of dollars to the cost of buying, selling, or refinancing properties in the county. The young and the elderly alike are already fleeing our region by the masses because of our current high and ever-soaring taxes and fees. This increase in real estate recording fees will effectively make home ownership even more difficult to obtain for first-time home buyers, among others, by raising closing costs in what is already one of the highest tax municipalities in the country. According to the Multiple Listing Service of Long Island, in 2014, there were over 10,000 closed sales in Nassau County, resulting in $5.9 billion in gross sales. It's typical for municipalities to look at home ownership transactions as a cash cow. What they fail to realize is that, as per the National Association of Realtors, a typical real estate transaction in New York State generates over $69,000 in economic stimulation, including additional expenditures on moving truck services, consumer items such as appliances and furniture, and dining at local restaurants. Can the county afford to lose this additional revenue? More importantly, can local businesses afford to lose this additional revenue? Everyone is aware that there is a deficit that needs to be addressed, but this approach is short-sighted. Why was a broad-based tax approach that would have cost the average homeowner 44 cents a week so quickly dismissed? Instead, the officials bowed down to NYFA's authority and their demand that fees be increased or else essential services would be cut. As housing advocates for the public, the 21,500 members of the Long Island Board of Realtors are vehemently opposed to any additional cost that adversely affects the ability to buy and sell homes, whether it be transfer taxes, mortgage recording fees, or other inequitable charges. And I've given a copy of to the clerk for each of you to have that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Happy holidays, everybody.
Lawrence, is it Rose? Leonie, yes. Richard Pfeiffer, is it? Left. Karen Montalbano. Where is she, Karen?
Good evening. My name is Karen Montalbano, and I am the president of the Baldwin Civic Association. I am here because the BCA board supports this traffic proposal for Grand Avenue and believes it should move forward as is until the engineering phase. This 4-lane roadway through Baldwin has traffic that often reaches 55 miles per hour. The measures proposed will help bring traffic down to a reasonable speed along our main street. Creating turning lanes at Seaman Avenue and St. Luke's Place will alleviate the bottlenecks in that area. The proposal is looking at a solution to a complicated and dangerous intersection at the high school, which is a main crossing for our students. Bump outs will help pedestrians cross the street safely. Traffic calming measures, such as road diet, will also be beneficial to those who walk. Traffic moving at non-threatening speeds is not only good for walkers, but also for the bicyclists sharing the road. And believe me, there are bicyclists currently using this roadway. And you just heard from Eric Alexander, who spoke about the positive economic impact, which is desperately needed in our community. The timing of this project works well because the current streetscape project for Baldwin is in the design phase and can incorporate these changes on the drawing board. New York State recently granted the maximum amount of funding for engineering this proposal. They would only do that for a project they feel is viable. There are some who have raised concerns about emergency response if a road diet was implemented. But any concerns about emergency response should really come from those who know best what is needed, the fire and police departments. Nassau County Department of Public Works has already presented the plan to the Baldwin Fire Department and will work with them if they have any concerns going forward. I spoke with the commanding officer of the 1st Precinct. He is confident that the Nassau County engineers will develop a plan that works for first responders. If firefighters and police officers are comfortable being able to respond to an emergency with this plan, then we all should be. Thank you.
Mr. Montalbano, thank you very much. John Kenny. Oh, God bless you too.
Good evening, folks. My name is John Kenny. I'm from the Bay Park section of East Rockaway. And I came here to ask a rhetorical question I think is important to every member of the legislature. Particularly, it's important to those legislators who represent the area where I'm from, which is East Ford, and tangentially Mr. Coppell. I'll ask this question, is the county getting what it paid for from the contractors regarding the privatization of its sewers and the various contracts totaling over $850 million that are currently being executed at the Bay Park Sewage Treatment Plant in East Rockaway? That's the question. As a resident, seeing the situation up close and dealing day to day with the issues, both with the United Water and with the construction consortium and the contractors, I would say that the answer is very doubtful. The Bay Park Sewage Treatment Plant is the outward manifestation of a sewage system, water pollution control system that is throughout the whole county. It's the Achilles heel of the system, as we read in the paper. It's much in the news. I'll give you an example of some of the frustrations you could run into dealing with United Water. And I would like to know that under DPW, the situation in a lot of ways was better. So a call that I made last night regarding a offensive odor that was at 4:30 hours, right? 4:30 p.m. was answered with a call back. That's a rare thing. Oftentimes you call an 866 number, it's an out-of-state number. Oftentimes if you call in off hours on the weekend, it's a call center located in Delaware. So we used to be able to call and say to the plant workers, could you come and check something out? Well, anyway, approximately 4 hours later, a gentleman named Eric Petank, he's a nice gentleman, but he works at another remote part of the DPW United Water bureaucracy. We don't know whether oftentimes people at DPW United Water, because there's a mix, it's a melange. It's all tied up. Anyway, he called me up and said that he had received the email regarding my complaint at 4:30, and this was 4 hours later, and that he would send somebody, his man in the plant, to check the doors at those particular places where the odor might be emanating from. Now, oftentimes, when if you call on an off hour into this number, as I called the other day when I saw trucks coming into the plant at 6 in the morning, they're prescribed to come in at 6:30. These are trucks run by the Mascaro carting company that takes the watered sludge from the plant down to Pennsylvania and West Virginia to put it in reclaimed mines. I explained to the operator that I was calling regarding trucks coming into the plant at an odd hour. The operator's response was, this is the Long Island Emergency Hotline for United Water, and we don't have enough room to take this. This line is an emergency line regarding leaking pipes. We send out big trucks. I said, I'm calling about big trucks. Big trucks that are not supposed to be here at this hour. Later in the day, later that same day, I got a call from Michael DiMartino, formerly from Public Works, but now working for United Water. Couldn't really, for the life of them, give me an accurate answer as to who had authorized that trucks that are supposed to come in Monday to Friday, never before 6:30 were coming in at 6. I said, Mike, can you please tell me who made that decision? He said, hey, you know, John, it's consensus here. We all kind of make decisions together.
Your 3 minutes have expired.
Okay, I'll continue a little bit.
Keep going, Mr. Kenny. Keep going.
The community feels that we're getting jerked around. The community feels that complaints that are made to the bureaucracy that now exists, and the meetings that we have. I went to a meeting on the 12th of November. In attendance was Deputy County Executive Rob Walker, Mike DiNicola, who's from Hayes and Sawyer, Peter Gloss from Arcadis, Alan Whalen, the United Water Director, Michael DiMartino, as I mentioned already, Mary Studdard from Nassau County Department of Public Works. Everybody makes promises, and what happens is things never get delivered. Calls regarding now construction, I could write a book about construction. I wouldn't want to take the time except to say there's a whole bunch of regulations regarding what the county contracted for, what their consultants are supposed to insist upon in terms of the conduct of these contractors. Monitoring, seismic monitoring. You will call up complaining, my house is shaking, and one day they'll tell you, oh, you know what, we're supposed to have the monitoring, but only when those tracked vehicles, those excavators that have tank tracks on them, or the bulldozers, are within 100 feet of your house. Then the next day you'll call up and say, well, geez, they're within 100 feet of my house, and they'll tell you, oh, we don't come out for that. We don't send monitoring out for that particular thing. We only send out when they drive the sheets. You have to realize, if there's no monitoring, there's damage to somebody's house, that damage didn't occur. Why? Because we never exceeded the monitoring, right? On various occasions, I've called up and said, listen, if they're doing, if my house is shaking, I should call you. Well, yeah, but we're not doing things that are that prone to cause damage. And then I called back and I said, geez, the pictures on my wall are bouncing. And I explained to him that the excavator was taking the bucket of his excavator and ramming it into the ground to compact it. Well, the engineer got a little nervous. He said, he's not supposed to be doing that. And I said, well, he's doing it. And of course, he said, I'm going to call him to stop that. And then that excavator took off. But a few days later, the same thing. When you call up, oftentimes the persons who are supposed to be monitoring this facility in terms of the consultants from Hayes and Sawyer or Arcadis, they're not on the scene. They're not there. So they're saying, well, you'll call them up. I don't know, maybe they have a 3 or 4 martini lunch. Sometimes when you get them, that's my suspicion. And what happens is we constantly deal with this. It doesn't seem to have been addressed adequately. We go to meetings. If we can't be confident, and I put this out collectively to you.
Mr. Kenny, I'm not trying to shut you down, but Legislative Board would like to speak with you.
Sure.
Good evening, Mr. Kenny. Thank you very much for staying so long to bring attention to some of the issues that you have. I texted over to United Water. I'm waiting for a response to them because of some of the concerns that you've raised. I've been in Bay Park. I have not, I do speak with the residents there, and I'm there. I did not make the November 12th because sometimes they forget that they're supposed to invite me. But, and I will take that up with Mr. Martino and United Water, that I should be there at all of these meetings. But if you want to, you can call my office tomorrow and we'll take a list of all of this, all of the issues, whether or not the house shaking, as well as the odor. I'm surprised because I know that they've been working on this and putting in a new technology that should help alleviate that, but I know that in one section there is still a problem. Okay, that I know. Over on, I don't know if it's the west side, I believe. I'm trying to remember. Over by the small park.
You were walking on the berm one day and when we were doing the tour. Right. I believe you got a whiff of some common odor down there.
And that's something that they're still working on. I know that they have. Remember, they're using that biology now, and they're going to have the 3 rooms, like the 3 sort of like rooms where they bacteria and they will help eat up the odors or something like that.
They're instituting what they can, but unfortunately, when you call and complain, some people are very diligent. They'll come out and they'll say, geez, I smell it. And then you ultimately call up and an individual will come out and say, I don't smell it. And in fact, we'll walk to an area adjacent to a municipal building in East Rockaway where they store their garbage trucks and said, oh, now I smell it. It must be coming from there. So, but you'll then go and talk to several people on the street. I went up to a mail carrier and said, do you smell it? She said, no, I'm chewing cinnamon gum. But then after a minute, of talking to her, she said, yeah, that smells pretty bad. That's not diesel, that's not sewage, that's diesel, because of course the house generators are back in service and they malfunction quite frequently.
Well, they've been testing them, and I know though that they've been moving off of the diesel, so.
Well, I called up and made a complaint to New York State DEC on November 2nd regarding November 1st episode where in fact they were running on natural gas and you couldn't stand on the street because the smell would just not, you would risk your life standing down there for a period of time. And what happened in response to that was they told us at the public meeting that was probably because of low water pumps that were running, but that was no water.
You know what we could do, I know that I would like to get more information from you, so if you can call my office tomorrow morning.
Yeah, I appreciate that, and I would also just put this out to everybody who's sitting up there on the dais. You are all collectively the legislators who represent the county, and regarding this $850 million expenditure, with probably going up over $1 billion with all the ancillary expenditures plus the United Water contract, you really have to be concerned about us getting what we paid for. We're the canary in the coal mine, and right now we're tipping over.
Yeah, okay. So let me get some information, I'll get back to you, okay? Thank you, Mr. Kenny.
Thank you.
Jack McCoy,
Madam Chair, before, just,
you want to talk to Mr. Kenny?
yeah, Mr. Kenny, just real quick.
Mr. Kenny.
Legislative Donovan, we had similar problems over at Cedar Creek, and let me tell you, it's because people like yourself letting us know, because we're not there all the time, letting us know what's going on, that we can address these things. Mike Martino was very responsive when he was with the county, and now I don't think he's changed at all, but I'm telling you, keep us informed, and you're going to get response.
I think everybody collectively usually get a good response. The problem is when one person, when you deal with you call one entity, and the county encourages you to call this 866 number, right? And then they say, call that one, call that one, call that. We're not responsible for construction. We're not responsible for the park construction. We're not responsible. That's the county's responsibility. We're United Water. You get that a lot. And so by putting United Water in charge, it was supposed to make it better. It was not supposed to put another layer of bureaucracy in. It's a Gordian knot, and you know most people down there are not going to try to untie it. I'm a little bit more dedicated in terms of taking the time out to come up here.
There should be one troubleshooter that you speak to, and he'll disseminate that information. And I'll work with them to try to secure that for Bay Park like we did over at Cedar Creek. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And we will, just one last thing. The trucks are allowed at this time to go in earlier due to construction. It's temporary, it will not be.
The trucks that do construction are allowed in at a particular time,
But the
7
trucks
o'clock.
taking
Taking the sewage, I called up over the weekend because they're not supposed to be operating over the weekend, and they were.
They, only because of situations at the sewage treatment plant and the construction going on, they gave them.
It would be good if they would then notify us, because what they don't, and when you call them and complain, you still don't hear back.
I will ask if they notify the civic, okay?
Thank you.
Wait.
Well, we're not the Civic Association, so that represents the eastern, western part.
But I know that they do try to do outreach with the residents, okay? I'll find out.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Legislative Verbo.
Yeah, hello, hi. I'm ranking member of the Public Works Committee, and I'm very concerned about everything you said about what's going on there, and I think the committee should look into it, really. I think this is something we should all know about. It should be in touch with me and the rest of the people on the committee.
I concur.
It's a lot of money that's being spent there, and I want to make sure that whoever's doing their job is being watched and it's being monitored, and this really has to be done right.
All we're asking for is that the people are responsive. When you see an engineer roll past your house and you say, you know, they knocked the door off of somebody's car and the glass is in the street, and the engineer says to you, the engineer who happens to be with Arcadis says, well, we'll get somebody right on that, and then 2 weeks go by, and you have to make a series of phone calls before the glass, or the rocks and the pebbles, or the dirt, or the debris gets cleaned up. You realize that the people who are giving lip service are not doing the job.
Mr. Kenny, we will address it. I know that Mr. Martino, have you spoken with him recently?
Within the last, on Friday.
Okay. Just Legislative Birnbaum, you know, yes, this is something that is monitored. They do have a lot of the residents
who live in the Bay Park area are very, very engaged with the sewage treatment plant.
Unfortunately, we get less engaged as we incur the wrath of making calls and not getting answers.
But United Water, along with the Deputy County Executive, Rob Walker, have had monthly meetings, if not bi-monthly meetings. They do meet with the residents. We even extend invitations to the residents who live in Oceanside across the canal from the Bay Park Sewage Treatment Plant. They've held numerous tours throughout the plant to address a lot of the work, to get the residents' input. Mr. Kenny, he and I were on that burn together. So,
But legislative for that last meeting, that was the last real meeting we had. We had a picnic over the summer, and then we had a meeting in November, so
but we will,
very frequent.
and if you would like to, we could go on a tour of the sewage treatment plant, and then you would be able to then see and then make a determination moving forward, okay?
Okay, let's go.
Thank you for your time. Have a good holiday.
Susan? I don't know if Susan is still here. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. McCoy, where'd you go?
Yes.
I'm sorry, I must have got you.
Good evening, members of the legislature. Thank you for allowing me to address you again. I was here last month. I think that the issue of the Grand Avenue reconstruction of the road was something that might have not been on your radar before last month, but you've heard a couple of people talk about it today. I want to let you know that 2 weeks ago, that was a featured article in Newsday. It was a cover story in the Baldwin Herald. It was covered by News 12, Cablevision, and it was also covered by Fios One News. It's a big concern about a road change plan study that is likely to affect our community in a very big way. I want to let you know that I gave each of you a printed sheet that has a big sign that you can see, Operation Restore Our Roads, Grand Avenue. This was taken this week. It's a sign right at the corner of Grand Avenue and Sunrise Highway. It touts the fact that this roadway was just redone less than 2 years ago. It's a roadway that has been reconstructed in a way where it's very good right now, and there are a few advocates in our neighborhood that feel that by, they call it traffic calming or constructing a road diet, is going to make Baldwin a safer place. It will actually make Baldwin a more dangerous place because the specific area that they're talking about changing from 2 lanes right now to only 1 lane in each direction is by our main fire department. We don't have many north-south roads in Baldwin. There are 2, Grand Avenue and Milburn. By making Grand Avenue 1 lane in each direction, you're going to force police emergency response to North Baldwin to have to travel that same route that will go from 2 lanes down to only 1 lane. Anyone in North Baldwin that needs to travel to our closest hospital, South Nassau Communities Hospital, uses that route as the quickest way to get to a place where they can solve their medical emergency. This is a proposal that has been advocated by people who want to accomplish slower roads, which is ideally a good thought. But applying it in this area will make the community dangerous. I've asked our legislator, Laura Curran, and I ask all of you as a group to reconsider spending money in a way that will actually impede medical, EMS, police, fire, anything in our area that is going to cause our responses to become more dangerous for the community. Also, at the bottom of this sheet that I gave you, I just want to make sure that you realize that you shouldn't be allocating more and more resources for road projects that are just recent road projects. This area has just recently been resurfaced from Sunrise Highway all the way down to Merritt Road, and to reallocate more resources to reconfigure it in this way is a waste of public funds. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McCoy. Susan Lopatkin? Oh, I'm sure. Julie Sanford, is it? Geese? All right. Guys?
Guys, Judy Sanford, guys,
Okay.
from North Valley Stream, and I'm on the N1 route. And I'm here to talk about buses, actually the elimination of the 12 bus lines. Many of your districts are involved in this. Freeport, Floral Park, Elmont, North Valley Stream, Levittown, Belmore, Wantagh, Hicksville, and quite a few others. It's quite a few, travels quite a through. I congratulated Trustee Green on her new position and told her that the N51 is being eliminated, and that services Nassau Community College. Anyway, I really hope my question is not rhetorical, because I really like to know that the cuts have been announced, the eliminations have been announced. The public doesn't know, but the riders know. So I really need to, I think, get an update, because I've heard elsewhere that this is still being discussed. But there are people for whom this 12 lines being cut is their only access to mass transit, and they're very, very concerned. They don't know, they just feel hopeless, so they're not here because they're too busy trying to figure out what they're supposed to be doing next as of January 17th, when their lines no longer exist. I'm concerned because the privatization of this, what should be a public service, that maybe this is Viola is just using your constituents as a bargaining chip because of the NYPA discussions. So I think that really needs to be clarified. But there are many people who have no other option but to walk miles to work, school, doctors, stores, or anything else they do. Those in the Dutch Broadway area on the N2 and 8, which I'm familiar with, more than the other lines, may have to walk 2 to 3 miles to the nearest bus. That is not right. It's just not right. I keep hearing that there is an oversight committee. I've never learned what its function is, because this would be something for them to do. If you're not aware of how many of your constituents are preparing for the actuality of no access to mass transit, I recommend you ride the lines in your district, especially the ones that will be cut. And there are 12 of them. I can give you what their routes are. Ask your constituents, what is their plan B? And I think you will find that for many of them, there is no plan B. They don't know what to do. And for many of these people, these lines are the only access to colleges. As I said, Nassau Community, Hofstra's affected, Malloy's affected, and to the shopping mall that not only is a place to shop, but for many people in Nassau County, that's where they work. Whether it's the Sunrise Mall that's losing 3 lines, Roosevelt Field, Green Acres, Hicksville Mall, this is where some of your constituents work. And they need to be able to get there, and they don't have an alternative.
Your 3 minutes have expired.
I know, but I've waited a long time. And one other thing also is many of these people, many of the human services programs that are not even aware of this because nobody sent out a public announcement of the lines, they have clients that will be sanctioned if they can't get to work. They will lose their benefits, which then means they will lose their housing. They will lose a lot of things. We have a responsibility to know about it, and so what is happening with it? These are 12 lines. You have a responsibility to know what's happening to your people who are losing access. I mean, the 2 and the 8, as I said, I'm most familiar with. Rockaway Avenue and Valley Stream will have no mass transit. Meacham Avenue will have no mass transit. These are roads that are miles and miles long. It's not that they can choose another bus. There is no other bus. And don't suggest a cab, because that would be an insult to the intelligence and to the dignity of the people who are taking a bus for a reason. You know, so what are they supposed to do? And what is an update on what's happening, if indeed it's not going through? It's on every single bus in Nassau County, these cuts, and January 17th is the date.
Legislator Jacobs. Yeah, Judy, hi. Hi, Judy.
Hi, Judy.
Hi. I'd love to talk to you about it, okay?
Yeah, the 20 and the 21 is a mess also.
I know, no, I know, but I'd like to talk to you about that, and not here.
Okay.
Anyways, you know how to reach me, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so reach me.
Okay.
And I'll sit down with you and we'll go over it. Obviously, it's a monetary problem, but I will talk to you.
Well, it's certainly going to be a monetary problem to people who can't even get the DSS.
I
heard the 16 is going, and that...
Judy, we all understand. I mean, everybody up here understands. It's been disastrous, and I know that. But I will let's talk, okay?
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
And just real briefly.
Judy?
Yes.
I think Legislator Doug.
Just quickly, the list we got said cut or eliminated, so we're trying to find out which one's what.
Well, the announcement is they'll be eliminated.
It said cut or eliminated on the list that I got. We're trying to find out which ones are eliminated, so we know which ones are cut, and then what are they cut to? So if it's going through an area that's not used, you know, at all, and then they're cutting that up, that's understandable, but we want to find out, we want to
The
be serious.
46 can be used, and some people can use the 47. The posting, if you go to the so-called Nice Bus Company website, it's quite up there, and they use the word eliminated.
Well, the list I got, and including a lot in Hicksville and Montauk, the bus goes from the Hicksville train station to the Montauk train station. Some goes over the beach, and that's heavily used by people in my district. And I just want to make sure that they're not being eliminated, and if they're being discussed, that's what we're doing. But we are looking at it. Nobody's not, you know,
Well,
not turning
the
a blind eye.
difference is you may be looking at it, but the signs are up in the buses now. People who are on those routes believe they will have no bus on Sunday, January 17, 2016, because it's not saying it's a proposal. It's presented to the ridership as a done deal. And the drivers believe it's a done deal because some of them are doing those runs, and they're not going to be doing those runs.
We can't speak more about it until I get the information I requested. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, but Legislator Simmons.
Thank you very much, Presiding Officer. Good evening, Judy. Thank you for being here tonight, and thank you for addressing this issue. This is very important to my district, and between now and January 17th, I'll be trying everything I can to avert this. Thank you, Judy.
Thank you.
Paul Eggers? That's Brock, is it? B-E-B-R-O-F-F?
Yes.
I can't read the first name.
Daniel.
What was it, son?
My first name.
Oh, it looks like Daniel. Daniel, is it Daniel?
Yes.
Okay, Daniel.
Okay, good evening, everyone. I'm here on behalf of LITAC, the Long Island Transgender Advocacy Coalition. I'm here because, as you all know, transgender citizens in Nassau County are not equal to all other citizens, and that is wrong. Transgender citizens can be discriminated against in arrest, by being forced to use the wrong restroom, by legally being allowed to be kicked out of a restaurant in Nassau County, legally being discriminated in employment, in housing, even at a hospital. The Nassau County Police Department has discriminated against transgender individuals. You know, this is basically a question of doing the right thing. Demands are that you all do the right thing and pass transgender civil rights in Nassau county. And basically, on this issue, being silent, being ignorant, being uninformed is basically dangerous to the transgender community because transgender individuals are losing their lives here in the United States and around the world. And in the United States, the murder rate has more than doubled in the past year. In 2014, it was, I believe, 10 or 11 transgender individuals murdered. And in 2015, it's about 22, with the year still over yet. So this is appalling to me, and I don't get why, this hasn't been passed yet here in Nassau County. I don't know if it's ignorance on the issue, if it's being uninformed, if it's appealing to the wrong people, but there are plenty of people around in LIHTC who would be more than happy to educate any of you legislators or your constituents if you want to learn more, because being ignorant isn't an excuse. And I would also like to know if anyone here, any of your family members with transgender, would you want them to be discriminated against at a restaurant, in a housing and employment, or by your local police department? And I think the answer would be no. I wish that would help. So basically, I'm here to demand that you all do the right thing, and I hope to not keep coming back every month, because I hope that you will do the right thing sooner than later.
Thank you very much, Daniel. Thank you for your patience and staying here so long.
Oh, okay, my pleasure. Please consider this.
You're welcome. Michael, Brad?
Good evening. Please accept my apologies ahead of time. I'm a little lightheaded. I've been waiting here for 5 hours without eating, and it's been hard. My name is Michael Rapp. I grew up in the 5 towns of Woodmere my life. I went away to college, came back to Long Island, where I started a business, and bought a house in Freeport. On October 29th, 2012, Hurricane Sandy came. My home was inundated by 5.5 feet of water. I lost my home, my car, my boat. I unfortunately, in my own ignorance, did not have flood insurance for my property, for my personal contents, and I lost everything. Hurricane Sandy continues today. I am no better off, nor are my neighbors. My neighborhood, as in Freeport, my neighborhood is in any home that is within the border of the South Shore of Long Island. People that live north of Merrick Road have no idea anymore that the pain and the suffering continues. I cannot thank each and every one of you legislators that live on the South Shore and represent us. You have done an incredible job holding us up, backing us up, and advocating for us. However, the pain continues. The pain is getting worse, not better, for many. There are a few that were fortunate that signed up for New York Rising, and New York Rising is getting their act together and helping those individuals. But unfortunately, there are hundreds, if not thousands, of people who did not make that deadline. Senior citizens, people with special needs, the elderly, people that are not so articulate with English. We are seeing on Long Island today increases in drug addiction, whether it be heroin or any other usage. But ladies and gentlemen, if you go down onto that shore, you're going to see further spikes than you ever experienced. I pray for those families that are facing the challenges of heroin addiction and other drug addiction because of the stress that they have been under for the last 3 years. I pray for those families who's facing now domestic violence, divorce, mental issues as a result of 3 years of Hurricane Sandy. I pray for those people who cannot maintain their mortgages on a home they're not living in. At the very same time, they are forced to pay rent somewhere else or to live on a couch or a basement because they don't have those other resources. I pray for the children when they hear on the news that there's another storm coming. Will this be the one that I won't have a home? I pray for our employees here in Nassau County that have been angels, whether it be social services, whether it be consumer affairs, the district attorney's office, the police department, and even our emergency rescue people, and the most amazing Office of Emergency Management any county can be proud to have. But ladies and gentlemen, we're coming to a holiday season where I must ask you to pray. Pray for those who have fallen through the cracks. Those people last week we buried Helen. Helen was a 92-year-old lady living in Freeport. Her home care worker randomly picked her out of her home the night of the storm and dropped her off at the nursing home. She got stuck in that nursing home for a year because she had no other family, only to be removed and put back into her home 2 years later with a $75,000 bill from a nursing home because they didn't want to put it on Medicare. She died last week alone with a house that was not completed. But she had dignity because she wanted to die in the home for which she lived. We have more stress than you could ever imagine, whether it be buses on Long Island and taxes and everything else that's been brought up over the last 5 hours. Ladies and gentlemen, you have thousands of families right now that are suffering silently. They're working 2, 3 jobs extra because they have to pay rent and their mortgage at the same time. I can only ask of each and every one of you here this evening to please re-strengthen this government in order to be vigilant on behalf of those who have not yet spoken, to speak out to the state and say, hey, yes, you created a program, and yes, it is helping some, but it did not catch everybody. We have people who are afraid to go back in their homes because they don't even know what their taxes are going to be again. We have people who can't afford to go back right now because they've devastated their savings. We have people who can't work psychologically because of the stress they're under, and therefore reducing their income and putting their own families in jeopardy once again. We have contractors that are vicious, brutal crooks, and we need to strengthen and increase the communication to the residents and consumers of this county and our neighboring counties that consumer fraud by contractors is a zero-tolerance policy. We need to have a better tracking system, a better reporting system, so that when somebody wants to hire a contractor, how do we know that there aren't 4 or 5 or 10 or 20 pending complaints that haven't made the internet system yet? Please, I'm here for 5 hours. I would be here for 20 more days for the opportunity to share with you my pain and the pain of those around us that are not home for Christmas, that are not home because of so many challenges. And I apologize for being emotional, but I gotta tell you something. If I don't let this out, it's gonna only make me more angry. You have to share this passion with the neighbors and your constituents, whether they live in that affected area or not. Because as Long Island, we are a family. And right now, we have an incredible pain going on. So to getting the ribbon cuttings of lifting one house or getting a grant for another house where they all come in saying the money is flowing, stop and look at the next door house. Are they being fixed? Or are they empty? Or are they being red ribboned? Or are they being
evicted? Or are there houses, 300 or 400 houses just in Freeport alone that are abandoned? We're dying a slow death. But I thank you, because it is not the county legislature who has power on this, it's the governor. But for you, you stood by. I gotta tell you how wonderful, those of you who are legislators on the water, how wonderful your staffs have been. The people that work for you represent you, but they represent us, and they have held an incredible amount of dignity at a time where they don't have the answers. They take the calls, they make the emails, and we all sit back and wait and wait. I ask that in the year 2016, that be the year of recovery for Long Island, and that we really approach this as a global stakeholding effort. Whether you live near the water or not, please pick up our neighbors and help us.
Your time has expired.
And last but not least, Steve Rhodes is here. It's past 6 o'clock. Happy birthday, Steve.
Legislator Michael.
Michael, thank you very much for your patience and waiting for so long. And I know, like, the trials that you've gone through, you know, with your house and everything, and trying to get back in, and decisions that have to be made. But I do want to recognize the work that you've done on behalf of the many residents who suffered because of Sandy. You've been nonstop in your outreach and your support, holding various meetings, you know, so that people can get the information that they do need, so that they can make, you know, better decisions, they're better informed. And like you said, a lot of these programs are not under our control. It's either, you know, FEMA is, of course, the federal government, New York Rising is New York State. I know that in the past, John Kamen has tried to make some changes, and he's done some work, which has helped, you know, especially for the residents here in Nassau County. You know, if you go into New York City, they don't fare as well as we do here in Nassau County, believe it or not. But we won't stop, you know, and I'd like to say, we'd love it if 2016 would be the year, but unfortunately, I know all too well that I still am going to have homeowners. You know, we're given at least another 3 years before everybody basically who can rebuild and go back into their homes can. But we do work with people who are still, like you said, they are paying mortgages on a house they can't live in. We've had areas, and I know specifically, especially in the Bay Park area, many houses have been abandoned, more so than in other areas that I've toured. So we have a lot of problems. We've got to keep working on them. And, you know, at this point, it's going to be one person at a time that we have to work with. But please get the word out too, because Consumer Affairs has done a wonderful job in going after these contractors that are just, you know, the dregs of society in my mind, you know, taking advantage of people. But I think we do need to, you know, focus more on those that miss the New York Rising deadline. I know that the SBA is back out, and they have now, they're going to start up the program again, maybe in the hopes of helping people who missed out on New York Rising, or who did not get enough money from New York Rising, to be able to get some money from the federal government to help them rebuild. But it's just sad. It's, you know what, we're not back yet. There's still a lot of work that needs to be done, but we're not going to stop. But Michael, I just want to say, and I'm going to admonish you, because I admonish you all the time, you could have knocked on my office door and would have given me something to eat. And second of all, I've told you also to take care of yourself. So just hang in there. Whatever you need, please call upon me, because you know you are a special friend, and I do worry about it.
I think I lost 35 pounds in 2.5 years, my pants and everything. But there are 3,600 homes yet to still be lifted. The capacity of the house building contractors here on Long Island is you could possibly take up to 6 years to lift 3,600 homes. So yes, it is indeed a long-term challenge, and I just had to bring it back to light that we could all pray for each other. Thank you very, very much.
And you take care of yourself.
Okay, Giovanni, is there Giovanni?
No, Steve. I'm just birthday Steve.
Oh, birthday boy, okay. Michael?
Yeah, Mike, yeah, you don't have to get back up. I just want to add my personal thanks to you, because you have been an invaluable resource to my office, to me personally, in trying to address the many problems that residents in the area that I represent have in trying to recover from Hurricane Sandy. And the fact that you've done it in the face of your own personal tragedy has made it even more remarkable. While you're worrying about getting back into your own home, I'm picking up the phone to call you to ask you for help and how to refer other people to get back into theirs. And your passion, your dedication, your commitment is something that we all on this legislature should be recognizing. And I want to thank you for that. And you've just been tremendous. And so I'm looking forward to continuing to working with you to make sure that we do our very best to get every last resident back in their home. And our job isn't done until that happens. So thank you, Michael.
Giovanni, is there Giovanni still here? Giovanni Cerchiaro. No? Okay. Well, I did get to everyone who did put in the slip, and I thank those of you who had the patience to stay as long as you did, and I'm glad that I was able to call, even though some of you were not here. So, in the meantime, do the best you can to enjoy the holidays, and to wish the very best for 2016, Michael. Maybe it'll be a better year. Keep praying. Now, we're waiting for some materials to come down from the administration. So we're here for a little while. So in the meantime, those of you who are here, just hang out. What can I tell you? Okay, that sounds good. Rules people are all here, right? Is the Salami. I'm going to recess the legislature meeting and move on so that we don't lose time. And I need the members of the Rules Committee to get together. And I've got it.
Say hi to me now. You fed me turkey.
Okay, Rules Committee, the legislative meeting was put in recess, I believe, and so that'll give us an opportunity to do the Rules Committee. All right, please call the roll, Sergeant.
Legislator Solage. Here. Legislator Jacobs.
Yes.
Ranking Member Abrahams.
Here.
Legislator Copel.
Here.
Legislator Dunn.
Here.
Vice Chairman Nicolello.
Here.
Chairwoman Gonzalez.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Thank you. Committee, I'm going to try to expedite things here. There are several items that I'm going to call, but then ask for motion to table. And I'm going to begin with E250, E251, E253, E255, and E256. Motion, please. Moved by legislator Capel, second by legislator Nicola. Aye. Now, motion is tabled. Moved by legislator, yes.
Before we take the motion to table,
Yes.
what is the reason behind the table?
Which
The items that you call, the table. What's the rationale?
And we need more information. We don't have enough information.
I'm sorry?
We don't have enough information. We need more information. This is what we want.
All right.
Here we go. 250, 251, 253, 255, and 256. Got it?
Got it.
Got it.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Now, motion to table those items. Moved by legislator Capella, seconded by legislator Dunn. All those in favor of tabling those items as called, signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Okay, the items are tabled. Now we go back. Here we go. The first item is B11, a resolution authorizing the county executive to award and execute a contract between the county of Nassau acting on behalf of the Nassau County Department of Public Works and Carlo Rizza and Sons, stated. Motion, please. Moved by legislator Dunn, second by legislator, and I see Mr. Arnold.
Good evening. B11 is a resurfacing contract that we funded 80% with federal money. It's to resurface New White Park Road, Brush Hollow Road, Searingtown Road, and Wilbur Hollow Road. Carlos Rizza was the lowest possible bidder.
Any questions of Mr. Arnold?
Yes.
Minority Leader, Mr. Arnold?
How are you, Mr. Arnold?
I'm fine.
On question 17 on the business disclosure form, it seems like there are some questions that are either not answered or omitted when it regards to question 17, part A, sections 1, 2, and 3. And B, I'm sorry. In part A and B, sorry.
Of 17?
Of 17, yes. It's a section on conflicts of interest. It's the, if I'm reading it correctly, it's the section that concerns regarding of how contractors monitor and report conflicts of interest, potential conflicts. And it looks like also, I mean, Legislator Jacobs has brought to my attention as well, that there was an incomplete MWBE utilization form submitted.
All right, let me look at the paper version. Hold on. Tanya, B11?
Okay. Mr. Arnold, what do you have?
I would have to assume on question number 17, that to disclose any conflicts, and if they're not, which I would take that as a negative response, that they don't have any conflicts.
And therefore B would not apply.
Correct.
Okay.
And
All right.
on the MBE utilization plan, I know that they have a plan. They must be still in the process of finalizing it because this is a federally funded job. The state will not let us award this contract without a plan. I believe the goal, the disability the DBE number was about 5%, I'm told by my engineers. I get that more information later on to you if that's required. But at this point, I think they will still negotiate with the contract to get the final percentages, but so the state would approve the contract.
Mr. Arnold, I just want to make sure I understand. You feel that question A is, question B is contingent on how you respond to A? I don't read it that way. It talks about the future. It says, please describe any procedures your firm has or would adopt to assure the county that a conflict of interest would not exist for the firm in the future. No, I read it that even if there's no conflict, if a conflict ever was to arise, how would you know? What kind of, but anyway, nonetheless, so you're taking it that the fact that they put in no response or they didn't write a response, that would mean that they're responding negative.
That is correct.
Normally, yes, we're ready to proceed. Sorry. Oh, I'm sorry.
Renita, are you okay?
Yes, we're ready to proceed.
Any other comments or questions on this item? Any public comment? There being none, all those in favor of B11 signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Well, we got 4 to 3.
Yes.
Okay, the next one is B47, resolution authorizing the county executive to award and execute a contract between the county of Nassau, acting on behalf of the Nassau County Department of Public Works and WHM Plumbing and Heating Contractors, Inc. Motion, please. Moved by legislator Dunn, second by legislator Capel. Any questions to Mr. Arnold on this item? Any questions of Mr. Arnold?
Well, this is an overarching statement. As I've said in the past, that our body is still pursuing contract reform, and until we see proper contract reform in this county, we will continue to abstain from contracts, or we will continue to vote for abstentions.
Did you do that on last?
We voted no because that one was egregiously bad. The disclosure form did not have a response to the question. We would have liked to think the response would have been no, but we decided there'll be no or abstain.
Any other comments? B47, any public comment? There being none, all those in favor of B47 signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Any opposed? Any abstain?
Abstain.
Okay, 403. The next one is a personal service contract, P241, authorizing the county executive to execute a personal services agreement between the county of Nassau, acting on behalf of the Nassau County Police Department and Atlantic Tactical Inc. Motion, please. Moved by legislator Dunn, second by legislator Capel, and we have Sergeant here.
Good evening, Sergeant Greg Stefanoff from the Police Department. I have moving Deputy Inspector Robert Torres from Support Division. E241-15 is a personal service contract between Nassau County Police Department and Atlantic Tactical. This will be a paradigm shift from the way we currently procure uniforms. This contract will enable us to eliminate our current method of stocking uniforms that provided to be very costly. Atlantic Tactical was chosen as the vendor. They had the overall lowest cost proposed for the services to be provided. Currently, we order uniforms to maintain an inventory to supply the members. Thousands of dollars of inventory sometimes sit on shelves and sometimes go wasted, that are never sizes that are never used. We must carry all the sizes in order to provide to the members in certain circumstances. And sometimes the sizes that aren't the most popular sizes go unused. The contract before you addresses this waste and also enables the department to outfit the members with the necessary uniforms to perform the job. The new system will allow us to order uniforms on an as-needed basis per the members' needs. It will also enable us to order uniforms more efficiently for new hires. Atlantic Tactical will be supplying the department with a fit line that will enable the staff in uniform section to size the correct uniform for the members. A fit line is every piece of uniform that we're going to be giving out to the members will have every single size in that apparel, shirt, pants, jacket, raincoat, and also on the pants and the shirts, the length, there's a sewn-in measuring tape for quick sizing of length and also for the shirts to enable, especially this is a valuable tool, especially when we're hiring and we're measuring a lot of members that are coming on. In the case of a new class that's being hired, Atlantic Tactical will assist the members in uniform section in sizing and ordering to speed up the process. The contract includes a web portal that will be developed specifically for the department. This portal will track existing members and keep an inventory of what was issued to them. The web portal will have every single uniform member entered into it. It will have the current uniform that they have, their current assignment. Certain assignments have different uniforms than patrol. So when the member comes into uniform section, the staff there will be able to pull up the member. They'll be able to ascertain what they have, what they're entitled to at that visit, and also if they're in a special unit, immediately tell them what uniform they're required to have so that nothing has to be researched. This will speed up getting members' uniforms. This is also a valuable tool. The bulletproof vests will be entered into the portal with their serial number, the issue date, the expiration date of the bulletproof vest, so that we can better track the body armor that the members have on them. Currently, the department has many different uniforms. The special units have adopted uniforms throughout the years. We are going to simplify the department into 5 uniforms. 3 uniforms for sworn members and 2 uniforms for civilian members. The uniforms will be from 511 and Feckheimer and will be readily available off the shelf to be able to order quickly. For civilian members, we'll be issuing a navy blue pants and a gray shirt. This will be for crossing guards and police service aides. For AMPs and public safety officers, a 511 utility pant and a gray utility shirt will be issued. For sworn members, the navy blue uniform will be worn for patrol. Pop cops, the detectives, BSO, will have afforded to them, like pop cops on patrol wear uniforms, but they'll be afforded to them a 511 tan pants and a navy blue polo shirt if they're going out like on a pop detail to have a different uniform to interact with the public. Also, the DD who wears plain clothes will be afforded this uniform, like take the case of Hurricane Sandy, where we pulled from every unit. They'll have a uniform to go out with, and they'll be readily identified as police officers.
Can I interrupt you for a minute?
Sure.
What's the rationale for the pop cops to have 2 different,
Well, pop cops are also on patrol.
Yes.
They work as cops in the precinct.
Yes.
But if they go out to special events, they'll be afforded like a uniform that they'll be identified as pop cops.
Pop cops, years ago, wore the same uniform they wore during the day, or wherever they were.
Some of them adopted a collared shirt. Correct? Some of them adopted a collared shirt to go to some events, like they.
Yeah, I have, when? I don't know, but my cop cops never had a different uniform. They had one uniform, that was police uniform. Yes. All right, okay, go ahead, just to reassure me that's okay. Go ahead, because the cop cops are very important.
Well, that's why we're trying to outfit them in certain
All right,
circumstances.
Okay, I don't want to minimize their role, that's why I'm asking the question.
Well, they're going to be afforded the same as the DD, BSO, and the same polo shirt and the tan pants.
Okay.
A single tactical uniform will be available for BSO, Emergency Service, K-9, and Marine Bureau, for in case they go out for an incident. They'll be able to, it's similar to the uniform BSO wears, but they'll all have one single uniform that they can go out and they'll be identified in a critical incident. When we are deployed to large events such as the Belmont Stakes, we deploy force members from a large number of commands, as well as police agencies that are involved. The new uniforms will enable the police officers to be recognized as Nassau County police officers without any confusion. And there'll be a few exceptions to the uniforms. The range staff wear a red shirt, so they're identified as range staff, a red collared shirt. Arson and Bomb Squad wear special clothing, special material for the work that they do. And aviation, they wear flight suits. So there will be a few exceptions to the uniforms. We are approaching 4 years since the department issued the new uniforms to the members, and we're coming close to having to replace them. So this contract will enable us to do that more quickly. The contract stipulates that the new uniforms will be delivered in a timely fashion. This will ensure that the current members that need immediate replacement can be taken care of quickly. Police recruits will get uniforms within 90 days of ordering. New AMTs 14 days. Civilian members will get current civilian members 7 days upon ordering. Shirt and pants items 14 days, and all remaining items within 30 days. This contract basically affords the department to order on an as-needed basis, and we'll be able to outfit members to do their job more efficiently, with less waste. We'll eliminate the inventory on the shelves, and we're just going to be ordering as the member needs it, and it will save thousands of dollars in inventory that sits on the shelf, and also the waste that goes unworn.
Sounds like a good plan. Any questions or comments from the legislators? Oh, when is this contract going? Okay, the beginning of next year, which is not too far away. All right, legislator Doug.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Auxiliary police.
No, they're not covered in this contract.
Not included. Do they have a separate thing they have to do, or they're getting from the old?
Yeah, we're going to continue the same process for auxiliary police, because we have time to order for them. So we'll just, as they become members and transition into the police department, we'll order as we usually do.
Thank you, because I'm going to be asked.
Okay. And also, I didn't mention, we're going to be encumbering this contract as needed as we need uniforms. So we'll be encumbering as we
That's a
go.
good idea. That's good. Legislator Nicola.
How are they ordered? How are the members of the department going to order the uniforms online?
The members are going to come into the uniform section. The staff will sign them into the web portal. They'll see what they need. They'll see what they're entitled to. If it's a replacement, that's easy. Like if a damaged cop runs into a fire and part of his uniform burns, that's easy. Or when he comes in for replacements, the uniform staff will immediately know what he's entitled to as far as a replacement. So there's lack of confusion.
Okay.
Any other questions from the legislators? Any public comment? There being none, all those in favor of E241 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the contract. Get with the program, kid. No? Oh, I didn't offer it, okay. 403, how's that one, all right? E242, another personal service.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sergeant. Good job. A resolution authorizing the county executive to execute an amendment to a personal services agreement between the county of Nassau, acting on behalf of the Nassau County Department of Public Works, Jacobs Civil Consultants, Inc. Motion moved by legislator Dunn, second by legislator.
R.E. Lemberger, Department of Public Works. This is an amendment to an existing agreement with Jacob Civil Consultants to, I'm sorry? R.E. Lemberger? I said it, you just didn't understand what I was saying.
You did say.
It's an amendment to an existing personal services agreement, Jacob Civil Consultants, for our Nassau Hub study. There are two aspects to this contract amendment. The first is to remove the environmental impact statement scope of work, because we do not need that level of environmental review under the contract, and instead insert a categorical exclusion scope of work, which is in line with what the Federal Transit Administration wants us to do in this regard, and also to extend the contract by an additional 3 years so that we can complete this portion of this study.
Any questions of Mr. Lamberto? Any public comment? There being none, all those in favor of E242 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any abstentions? 3. So it's 4-0-3. Okay, the next one, thank you,
Thank you.
E243, authorizing the county executive to execute a personal services agreement between the county of Nassau, acting on behalf of the Nassau County Department of Public Works and VHB Engineering, Surveying, and Landscape Architecture. Moved by legislator Capel, second by legislator Dunn.
Thank you. This is Sean Sally with the Nassau County Department of Public Works. This is a contract for the Baldwin Downtown and Corridor, Commercial Corridor Resiliency Study with the firm of VHB and various sub-consultants. The study was conceived from the New York Rising Community Reconstruction planning process back in 2013. The state has asked the county to manage this study in the hamlet of Baldwin. The project is fully funded through Community Development Block Grant Disaster Recovery Funds. There's no outlay of funding by the county. And this complements some of the other work that the Department of Public Works is conducting in the hamlet, including the Grand Avenue traffic study that was discussed earlier today.
Any questions or comments from the legislators? Legislator Dunn.
Wow, the storm recovery after the big storm we had, right? This area was it devastated or hurt by the storm, by Sandy?
South Baldwin, particularly Baldwin Harbor, was severely impacted by a flood inundation.
Now, is that part where you're going to take 4 lanes and make it 2 lanes, make it more difficult for those people on the South Shore to get the hell out of the storm's way? Is that part of your study? You're going to be looking at that?
Well, this actually goes, that's a separate study, a separate funding source. That study is going on now, and it's been going on for the past year. This pivots off of that, looks at more of the land use component, economic development. There is a traffic study component on the north end of Grand Avenue up towards the Southern State Parkway. At this point, lane reduction would not be a component, just given the traffic volumes in that area.
Because you're getting money from the storm. So I'm thinking, could be creating a problem, a bottleneck here when things get bad. So something to think about. Thank you.
Sure.
Any other comments or questions from the legislators? Any public comment? There being none, all those in favor of E243 signify by saying aye. Any nays? Any abstentions? 4-0. All right, the next one is E244, a resolution authorizing the county executive to execute an amendment to a personal services agreement between the county of Nassau, acting on behalf of the Nassau County Department of Public Works and Divert Third-Party Bureau, a joint venture motion, please. Moved by legislator Dunn, second by legislator Capel. Mr. Bond.
Kenneth Owen, Public Works. E244 is a contract amendment for time only to extend the Bay Park Effluent Pump Construction Management Contract to cover things that had to be done by Sandy that took a little bit longer than anticipated.
Any comments or questions regarding this item? Any public comment? There being none, all those in favor of E244 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Any abstentions? 403. The next one is E245, a resolution authorizing the county executive to execute an amendment to a personal services agreement between the county of Nassau, acting on behalf of the Nassau County Department of Public Works and Lockwood, Tesla, and Bartlett, Inc. Motion please. Moved by legislator Dunn, second by legislator Nicolai. Mr. Arnold.
E245 is a contract amendment to the civil site on-call construction management contract of the department. This amendment is to raise the cap by $500,000.
Any comments or questions of Mr. Arnold on this item? Any public comment? There being none, all those in favor of E245 signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? 403. The next one is E246,